Folks, I'm driving in the nation's capital, and it's happening at DCA, the airport in Washington, D.C., where there is a effort underway, a recovery effort, as it relates to the crash last night between a military helicopter, a Black Hawk helicopter, and an American Airlines regional jet. The helicopter carried 3 soldiers. The regional jet had 67 passengers and crew. All are presumed dead. Right now, it's no longer a mission trying to save lives. It is a recovery mission of those who have perished. This took place last night around 9 p.m. Eastern, when the helicopter as well as the plane crashed as the plane was on its descent to Washington, D.C. It is horrific. It is the first major air disaster in the United States since 2009. It is the first time in American history that a military aircraft has collided with a commercial aircraft. Earlier today, there was a shameful and despicable news conference where you heard the most racist and sexist attacks ever emanating from the Oval Office. I'm going to play those in just a bit, but I want to get right to our first guest, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of New York. She's the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And Congresswoman, glad to have you here. I was appalled and ashamed with what I heard this morning. First of all, I purposely choose not to watch any of these news conferences with Donald Trump and his minions because all it's going to do is get blood pressure up. I said, I'll go back and look at things later. My dad called me. Friends called me. They text. And they were shocked. They were like, do you believe what is going on here? And to watch the occupant, because I don't call that man the president, to watch the occupant of the Oval Office, to watch the Secretary of Defense, who is grossly unqualified for his job, to watch the Vice President, grossly unqualified for his job, to watch a former reality show contestant who is now the Secretary of Transportation, grossly unqualified for his job, stand before the American people and blame DEI for an airplane crash that has left 70 people dead. Bodies are still in the water, and those idiots stood before the cameras and went on an attack on DEI. Have you seen anything more shameful from an occupant of the Oval Office?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Roland, and we do want to extend our deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of the individuals who were both on the American Airlines Flight 5342, as well as our military personnel that we lost in this horrific crash. Let me say that what we saw on display today from Donald Trump was a continuum of an ongoing effort to marginalize, to justify white supremacy, white male supremacy, and all of the manifesto known as Project 2025 to be able to move forward with the destruction of our communities, of our families, of our organizations, and we're not having it. It was a shameful display from Donald Trump and his administration today in a press conference that showed that they have not an empathetic bone in their bodies, that they would take this occasion while it is still raw in the lives of those who have lost loved ones, of those who may be traumatized in this nation by the fact that we had a military aircraft collide with a commercial airliner right in our nation's capital. For them to use that moment to go after, to speculate, first of all, to speculate about the causes of this horrific tragedy without any real regard for those families that are still receiving their loved ones. Some may not have even had an opportunity yet to connect with the remains of their dearly departed. This is what we're up against. We knew this from day one. And from day one, the actions of this administration, be the executive orders, be it this mass deportation, action that is taking place across the nation has demonstrated that we have to take Donald Trump at his word, and we're not having it. We are fighting back, and we will make sure that this administration knows that diversity, equity, and inclusion are what makes this nation great.
And what is stunning here, a commander-in-chief always is very, very cautious and sympathetic and empathetic when members of the military lose their lives. And he stood up there. And you're right, no evidence. The investigation hasn't even started. And DEI, all qualified people. You have Peter Hegseth. We're going to be colorblind in our choices. We're going to play the clip later. And when I saw the clips, when I saw these comments, I sat there and I said, these are absolute racist and sexist attacks. And what they were saying to everyone is that the only people who they believe are qualified to have jobs in this country are white heterosexual men. Because let's be clear, they want the world to think, when they say DEI, they want that to be think black, think brown, but for every white woman, that includes you, because the reality is 75% of the DEI jobs in corporations held by white people. When you look at the MWBE contracts in the federal government, 78% of those contracts, white women. And so we need to understand what is at play here. So white women need to understand they are saying you too are unqualified for these jobs.
Well, listen, we know that we are dealing with an administration that has decided to close ranks with white supremacists, that has decided to facilitate the type of discrimination and bigotry that we thought we had left behind as a nation generations ago. And everything indicates to me that they are prepared in this moment to step on civil rights, civil liberties, the Constitution, whatever it takes to bring about a white supremacist agenda and to marginalize and exploit the talent, the work, and the expertise of everyone else in our civil society. And we just can't abide with that. We're not going back.
And again, I've seen people say, well, I have no evidence of him being a white supremacist, a white nationalist. What you saw today was Exhibit A, because to jump out there in front of the cameras, and when they say DEI, that's the new N word for him. What that means is, there were unqualified black people, unqualified Latinos, unqualified women in these jobs. Now we know, because the father of an American Airlines pilot has put his image out. It was a white man who was the pilot. We now have the image of the pilot of the helicopter. He was a white man. The air traffic controller, my understanding, another white person. So he stands out there, again, no evidence, and throws this out there. And people need to understand that all we have seen since last week, since the inauguration, attacks on DEI, and I said, this is a direct assault on black people and other people of color, and white women had better wake up as well. These people, Project 2025, these hardcore conservatives, Elon Musk, all they are about are advancing the interests of white men, because they think white men are now an aggrieved minority in America.
Well, let me say this, how ironic it is that he had Hegseth standing there with him, someone who was eminently unqualified to become the head of the Department of Defense, saying that they are going to be establishing new qualifications. How would you know when at the end of the day, you're not qualified to serve in the position that you've been appointed to? So we're dealing with very unconventional means by which these individuals and their movement, the MAGA movement, are going about methodically shaping the debate, shaping the consciousness of Americans by interjecting their philosophy into what was a day of mourning for all Americans, quite frankly, because it is so rare that we have an airline crash in the United States of America that it's startling. But again, this is part and parcel of the determination that these individuals have starting from day one, as Donald Trump stated, to be a dictatorship, to circumvent the law and the Constitution, to advance their agenda, Project 2025.
I'm looking at responses, and we'll play later. We'll play. A number of people have responded. I saw Senator Chris Murphy. I saw Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, and others. But I'll be honest with you, Congresswoman. It's a whole lot of your white Democrats, your white female Democrats, who have been way too silent when it comes to these attacks. And we know the greatest beneficiary of affirmative action have been white women. What are you saying to your fellow white Democrats about them needing to get their act together and stand up to this racist and this sexist, and to call him out and say something? Because I've been saying this, and I've said it directly to different people. I'm tired of black people having to carry the water. I'm tired of black people being the sharecroppers, having to till the soil, to carry the burden, to respond to these attacks. And that's all that I've seen. And frankly, it's way too many white Democrats who have been silent today.
Well, let me say this. First of all, I'm very focused on the Congressional Black Caucus, and I am focused on putting ourselves in formation and moving forward with an agenda for our communities in the face of all of this bigotry, all of this discrimination and hatred. At the end of the day, everyone is going to have to search their own conscience. I can say that we can't generalize. I have been in conversations with a number of my colleagues on the other side of, in the Democratic caucus, who are white individuals who are outraged and who are posting on their various platforms their disdain for what happened today. And so I want to say that, we're building a movement here. This is not a moment. We have got to make sure that in the same way that MAGA maniacs have organized themselves to commandeer the Constitution in the United States of America, we are going to mobilize people across this nation to restore our democracy and move it into the 21st century with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, we still appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us. Look forward to having you back.
I look forward to being back with you, and thank you for having me, Roland.
Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You heard what we just talked about there. Folks, I can't reiterate this enough. Listen to me clearly. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you've got technology companies running scared, when you've got legacy media not doing their job, when you've got black-owned media that is disintegrated, now is more than ever for us to have independent media that cares about the truth, that is willing to say what needs to be said. So when you support Roland Martin Unfiltered, this show, when you support the Black Star Network, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting the other shows. Our goal is to add 2 more shows this year. We want additional shows. We want more weekly and daily shows, because we want to be able to speak truth to power. We want to be able to say what is necessary where other people are scared. And when you are scared, when you're looking over your shoulder, oh my God, that advertising contract is not going to come in. Well, guess what? A lot of these major ad agencies, they're not even supporting us anyway. In 6 years of doing this show, Group M hasn't done a damn thing with us. Publicis hasn't done anything with us. You've got Horizon, you've got all of these folks, they haven't done jack. And so we are calling it like we see it, and we're speaking truth. And unlike some of these other so-called progressives and people who believe in truth, I'm not running around trying to kiss MAGA ass and kiss Trump's ass. I won't be going to Mar-a-Lago, not for a damn thing. And so this is about us being able to speak truth. So when you support this show and this network with your resources, that is exactly what is happening, because we are trying to build something that is bigger and broader, and actually it has the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it makes other folk uncomfortable. If you want to contribute giving Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. This is it right here. And if you are listening, simply go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Also, if you want to see your checking money order, some of y'all old school, we understand that. See your checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And again, folks, we've got some 4 million social media followers. If only 20,000 of our fans contribute at least $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, that's $1 million. It allows us to be able to continue to build, to add these shows and do the work that's required. So your support is needed. So please join our Bring the Funk fan club today. If you've not already joined, if you have given to us in the past, please renew your commitment, because it's important that we support Black-owned media, because Black-owned media matters.